This problem here is a combination of a limiting reagent and a theoretical yield problem. Now if you look at what the question says, how many grams, and it's important that you read this part here, how many grams of Al2O3 could be produced from 225 grams of Al reacting with 300 liters of O2. Now what you've really got to understand here is that we've got a limiting reagent problem going on here because we've got to figure out which of these is actually going to produce the least amount of Al2O3. So let me show you how you might go about this. The first thing you want to do is you want to start out with 225 grams of aluminum. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how many grams of Al2O3 we could get from 225 grams of aluminum. Alright, so we're going to start off from here, grams of aluminum, we're going to go to moles of aluminum, and we're going to go to moles of Al2O3, then we're going to go to grams of Al2O3, and we want grams from over here. So we know grams of Al goes on the bottom, we know moles of Al goes on top, that's what we want. Relationship, 1 mole of Al is going to be 26.98 grams. We want moles of Al on the bottom here to cancel out. We'll have moles of Al2O3 on top. Relationship here, see moles of Al, 4 moles of Al, and that's going to produce 2 moles of Al2O3. Down the bottom we'll have moles of Al2O3. And here we'll have grams of Al2O3. And the molecular weight of this goes up here, and that's 101.96. 101.96 grams of Al2O3, and that equals 1 mole of Al2O3. Alright, what that's going to do is it's going to give us a gram amount of Al2O3. Now I'm going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to start with 300 liters of O2, and in order to get the yield I'm going to have to do moles of O2, go to from liters of O2 to moles of O2, then I'm going to go to moles of Al2O3, and I'm going to go to grams of Al2O3. Alright, so we're going to have moles of O2 on top, we'll have liters of O2 on here so that those can cancel. Relationship, 1 mole of O2 is 22.414 liters of O2. We'll have moles of O2 down the bottom here to cancel, we'll have moles of Al2O3 on top, that's what we want. Relationship, 3 moles of O2, 2 moles of Al2O3. Moles of Al2O3 go on the bottom, grams of Al2O3 go on top. Relationship, 101.96 grams of Al2O3 is equal to 1 mole of Al2O3. So what we're going to get from each of these is a gram amount of Al2O3. I won't do that, you can work that out yourselves. And what I will tell you is the limiting reagent will be the one of these, one of Al or O2, that produces the least amount of Al2O3, or the least number of grams of Al2O3. I want to take you back to my cheese sandwich analogy when you got let's say you got 2 slices of bread plus 1 cheese gives 1 sandwich. And let's say you use 10 bread and 6 cheese. You know you can only get 5 cheese sandwiches. And again, the story is that 10 bread will give you 5 sandwiches, because 10 divided by 2 is 5. 6 cheese sandwiches will give you 6 sandwiches, but since we don't have enough bread, then we've got to stick with the 5 sandwiches that we get from the we don't have enough bread, so we have to stick with the 5 sandwiches, and we'd have to use 5 cheese.